I've reached out to some of the biggest names in UFO lore, okay? And they all got skiff flu. And we call it skiff flu, meaning like the day that the skiff was open, that we reserved it, we're like, we're here. Like, come on, come brief us. They get sick, or
and
their dog dies.
They didn't recover and come back?
They didn't recover, and then they just don't talk to us anymore. So
they ghost you?
They ghost us. Yeah, so I'm like, well, if you're not going to tell me to skiff, then you're full of crap.
I live in rural Wyoming in the middle of nowhere. My closest airport 30 miles, and I have one plane that leaves from our airport every day. No one's ghosting, or at least not me. I would love an opportunity. I just need some notice. Got to give me more than 3 days.
24 hours later.
That escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
While our government's official position is not to speculate on this subject, we can choose to let our minds explore other possibilities, to use our imaginations. For if we consider that astroscientists agree on one point, that the possibility of life elsewhere is not only quite probable, some feel it is there without a doubt. Let us suppose then that these objects are real space vehicles, extraterrestrial in origin, and not an illusion of the mind.
There's nothing to hide. There's nothing to hide at all.
What's up? Welcome to Somewhere in the Live Stream, everyone. I hope you liked that little gossipy number we cut together for you at the beginning there. Yeah, there's been some tea in the UFO community this week. When is there not? When is there not being tea constantly spilled in this field we call ufology? But we're actually going to cover it tonight. We're not usually one of those shows, but we gotta cover it because this has been out in front of an international audience for all to see, which is the problem. And we will get to that. We will get to that later in the show with Suzanne, our moderator. She will be joining us for the second half of the show, guys. I know you love when she comes in to give her thoughts on all of these stories that she and I have put together for you this week. And we have a lot to cover. It has been a very busy week in the world of UFOs and space. We have some very exciting space stories. A lot is going on in the world of space, and a lot of it has to do with our good friend James Webb Telescope, making some incredible discoveries lately, and we will get to that in just a little bit. But hello to all of our regulars in the chat. I see you. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. If anyone's new to this live stream, this is a live stream that I host. My name is Ryan Sprague. I host the Somewhere in the Skies podcast, and every Sunday we try to bring you the latest news in the world of UFOs and space-related information. Before we get to that, if you are new to the show, I'm going to ask that you like this video, subscribe to the channel, check out the podcast. It's a podcast we do weekly, releases every Monday, which means we will have a brand new episode for you coming in just a few hours if you live in the Europe, the UK and abroad. But this is where we just have laid back conversation about everything going on in the world of UFOs. We laugh, we cry, we make fun of people. That's what we do. That's what we do. But before we even get to the news, guys, I have some personal news about the Somewhere in the Skies podcast. I teased this last week, and it was announced this week on Forbes, actually, and Collider covered it, a few other news outlets. I am now a member of the Spectre Vision family. This is a podcast network that has been put together by Elijah Wood, actor Elijah Wood, who you guys probably know from Lord of the Rings. He played Frodo. He's done a ton of movies, ton of movies, and his good friend and colleague Daniel Noah, who is one of us. He is a UFO guy. He is an experiencer, and everything in between. And through their movie making endeavors, they decided to open up a podcast network. So along with many other shows, Somewhere in the Skies is now a member of the Spectre Vision family. I cannot wait to start working with these guys. I'm just so excited. They are going to revolutionize podcasting as we know it. We are working exclusively with, I should say exclusively, we are working specifically with Spotify to bring a new, exciting, cinematic flair, as it were, to podcasting, which is usually just audio. But we're going to bring a visual, cinematic approach to the way we do our podcast. So, not just YouTube here watching on a screen, but you'll be able to experience our shows interactively and everything in between. I'm just excited. We're going to be testing a lot of things out, which is really cool. And it's just so cool. It's so cool to be on the ground floor of something like this pioneering company. And I'm just super honored. So because of that, I'm going through this really weird migration period right now with my old network and my new network. So we're trying to figure out, how to get everything over there and make everything as smooth as possible. So nothing will change about the podcast. The podcast will be every Monday still, brand new episodes every Monday. Nothing changes. It only grows, evolves, and becomes more. And that's all because of you guys. You have supported me for so long. Almost 8 years we've been doing the podcast, Somewhere in the Skies. And, I feel like this is a big moment for us. And that's because of you guys. It's the next chapter. I feel so honored. And I cannot wait to start working with Spectre Vision, with Daniel Noah, Elijah Wood, and the rest of the crew over there. And go check them out. Cosmosis with Kelly Chase is there as well. Mike Clellan's show is up there as well. Hidden Experience. Danny Sheehan's got a show there, and just everything you could possibly think of in the worlds of paranormal, esoteric, occult, UFOs, high strangeness. You name it, they are covering it there at Spectre Vision. You can learn more at spectrevision.com/podcasts. And yeah, I cannot wait for the future of Somewhere in the Skies, and I cannot wait to bring you guys along with me. So thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for all of your support, and congratulations this week as the news broke. I'm super excited. What else do I got for you guys? We put a poll up over on YouTube. So if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you vote in that poll. It has to do with the last story we're going to be talking about tonight. The big story that everyone's talking about, the Luna Lou Skiff Scuffle, as we're calling it. Sounds like a little jazz song there. Doing the skiff scuffle. Bop doop a dee. Shoot up a doo. What is happening? I know what's happening. Red wine. 19 crimes, baby. Going Australian tonight for you guys. I'm off the suds. I'm off the beer, but I'm drinking wine tonight. I'm back with you guys. What are you drinking? Let me know in the chat. Thank you so much, Gareth. I appreciate that, Patrick. Thank you, Kurt. Thank you, guys. Cheers. This is to you guys. You have helped make all of this happen for me, and I cannot thank you enough. Speaking of which, now is a perfect time to show Spectre Vision what we are made of. Let's climb those charts over on Apple and Spotify and show them what the Somewhere in the Skies community can truly do and get behind this new endeavor. Please head on over to Apple and rate and review Somewhere in the Skies podcast. It helps more than I can honestly tell you. It gets us boosted up, gets us featured on Apple, and it's still the biggest platform out there for podcasting. So with your help, let's really start this Spectre Vision thing with a bang. If you listen to the show on Spotify, go up to those 3 dots up at the top of Spotify and Somewhere in the Skies and click rate, and you can rate the show there. I don't know if they have a review option yet, but you can rate the show on Spotify. You can rate and review on Apple. I would truly appreciate that if you'd head over to those after this and do that for me. If you're watching here on YouTube or Twitch or any of that, share the show. Share the show with your friends. If you're watching on Twitter, come on over to YouTube. Watch with us. Take part in our live chat. It's very lively over here. I can see you guys going already. We have plenty to talk about tonight. So yeah, that's it. I promise. Last thing though, Super Chat is open. We have a goal tonight. Suzanne and I are being ambitious. We wanted to go for 7, but they don't let you do 7. It's either 1, 5, 10, 20, 30, something ridiculous like that. We're going to try to get to 10 Super Chats tonight. And all of those Super Chats go to fund our free virtual conference, free for you guys. It's called Anomicon. It's taking place on September 20th and possibly 21st. And it's everything anomalous. You name it. UFOs, Bigfoot, ghosts, occult, psychics, sea monsters. Everything you could possibly think of is going to take place at this virtual conference right here on YouTube. And like I said, anyone can watch it. There's no admittance fee, nothing like that. You can watch at your leisure. We'll be streaming for hours on end with some incredible speakers for you. You can learn more at the website on the screen for you right now, anomicon.com. You can learn about our speakers, what they'll be talking about. But like I mentioned, it is free for you guys, but it's not free for Suzanne and I to create. So every penny you donate tonight and in the future will go to help supplement that, whether it's paying our speakers. We'll have a charity that we'll also be donating money to, and our streaming software costs money, all of that stuff. It's all these unforeseen costs to bring all of this free content to you guys weekly, and now with Anomicon coming up in just a few weeks. I can't believe it. Anomicon, do. I know, Jay Allen. I'm with you, buddy. I am with you. But yeah, you can learn more at anomicon.com. Do I have it? I do. There it is, right there. Our incredible logo for Anomicon was designed by Polaris Castillo. He has been working with us for the past 3 years on our logos and art design for Anomicon. So I want to send a special shout out to him as well. Okay. I think that is it for the opening here, guys. Let's finally get to the news some 16 minutes into this. Again, I know you YouTubers are going to say skip to the 17-minute mark and you won't have to hear this guy babble on. But we're going to start with some awesome space news. This is such a cool story. Like I had mentioned at the beginning, James Webb is killing it up there in space. And this one came to us from the Debrief. So I'm going to go ahead and read this for you. James Webb Space Telescope spots mysterious objects so bright they challenge current ideas about the early universe. So researchers at the University of Missouri, using NASA's James Webb Telescope, have identified an unexpected population of roughly 300 extraordinarily bright objects in deep space observations. These mysterious objects, potentially early galaxy candidates, shine far brighter than traditional galaxy formation models predict for the early universe, shortly after the Big Bang. To detect these objects, the team applied the dropout technique, which isolates infrared signals that disappear at bluer wavelengths, a hallmark of significant cosmological redshift, and by extension, early universe distance. The lead author of this, Tom Sun, noted that while one object has already shown promising spectral evidence of being an early galaxy, comprehensive spectroscopic confirmation is required to validate the full sample. Is anyone understanding this? Because I'm having a hard time, but I'm sure it's science-y exciting. The stakes are high, they say. This is where it gets interesting for us UFO buffs, right? The stakes are high. If even a fraction of these luminous objects are confirmed as primordial galaxies, current theories of galaxy formation would need serious revision. Haijing Yan, co-author and astronomy professor at Missouri, emphasized that confirmation of just a few of these would be enough to challenge existing cosmological models and prompt a rewrite of how we understand early cosmic structure formation. This last paragraph, guys, I promise, is where things get really interesting. It also widens the scope of the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. If complex structures formed earlier than we thought, that means the universe may have had more time and more places for intelligent life to emerge. Understanding when and where galaxies like ours could have formed directly informs estimates of how long life may have had to develop elsewhere, making this discovery a potential game changer in the search for ET intelligence. So there you go, James Webb, finding these bright-ass objects out there in the most distant places we can think of. So cool. So cool. I love it. I love hearing it. Let's move to our next space story, and it continues with James Webb again. Does it? Oh, wait, no, it doesn't. Not James Webb, but the fast radio. You guys know that? The fast radio bursts? Yeah, this story comes to us from phys.org. Astronomers have detected the most distant fast radio burst ever recorded. FRB 2024-0304b. I expect you all to remember that. Originated over 11 billion, that's with a B, billion years ago. Just 3 billion years after the Big Bang. FRBs are incredibly brief but powerful flashes of radio waves that travel through space for billions of years. Using the Meerkat radio telescope in South Africa, scientists were able to detect this ancient signal, pushing the limits of how far back in time we can observe these cosmic phenomena. To understand where this burst came from, researchers used, I was right, the James Webb Telescope. Yeah, baby, Jimmy back. Jimmy Webb. They used Jimmy Webb to identify its host galaxy. Surprisingly, the galaxy is small, irregularly shaped, and relatively low in mass, only about 10 million times the mass of our sun. Despite its modest size, it's actively forming stars. This challenges previous assumptions that only large or active galaxies could produce such profound FRBs, suggesting they might be more common in ordinary galaxies than previously thought. Last paragraph on this one, guys, I promise. Beyond breaking distance records, this FRB offers an important scientific tool. It helps astronomers measure intergalactic matter across a vast span of cosmic history. The signal acts like a flashlight, lighting up the invisible gas and plasma between galaxies. And this allows researchers to study how matter was distributed in the early universe and provides a more detailed map of how the universe evolved over time. So boom, there we go. We got fast radio bursts. We've got these mysterious bright objects happening out there. We got the interstellar object that's going to be zipping by our sun that Avi Loeb says could be an alien spaceship. So much is happening. And the only reason we are learning about any of this, guys, is because of the James Webb Telescope. Incredible. The biggest, most important thing to have happened, and it happened in our lifetime. That telescope is going to reshape history as we know it, and our understanding of our universe and possibly universes for infinity. I can't believe we are living in a time where that thing was first deployed into space. It's amazing. It's amazing. I want to give a special shout out before we go to our next story to Shaq Valet. I love that name. Thank you so much for the 50 NOK. I don't even know what that is. What kind of currency is that? Is that Norwegian? NOK. I'll have to look that up. Either way, thank you so much. We truly do appreciate that extremely generous donation to Anomicon. So thank you, Shaq. Thank you. Appreciate that. Univ Stock says yes. That's the plural of universes. Universi? Univis. I like that. Robert says the universe is a living and violent place. It really can be, my friend. It really can be. Sorry guys, I'm just going through the chat here, make sure I didn't forget any other. Okay, cool. Hey, what's going on, guys? I see all the regulars hopping in here. Hi. Hello. I see some new faces, new names as well. Welcome to Somewhere in the Live Stream, where we cover all the latest space and UFO related news. I got one more space story for you guys before we get to UFOs, I promise. And trust me, you are not going to want to miss these UFO stories. That is for damn sure. But let's move to our next science story. This one is very exciting as well. This comes to us again from the debrief from Christopher Plain, killing it over there at the debrief, being the head science writer. The headline here reads, Ionic liquid discovery may expand habitable zones in the search for alien life. A new study by researchers at MIT, led by Sarah Seeger and Rachana Agrawal, revealed an unexpected laboratory discovery of ionic liquids, salty, non-evaporating fluids formed from mixtures in sulfuric acid and nitrogen containing organic compounds under conditions mimicking rocky exoplanet surfaces. This is where things get interesting, guys. Initially, the work was intended to support future Venus cloud sampling missions by testing how to evaporate sulfuric acid and analyze any remaining organic matter. Instead, the experiments consistently left a stubborn residue in ionic liquid at low pressures and high temperature, demonstrating its resilience across various simulated environments. These ionic liquids exhibit extremely low vapor pressure, allowing them to remain liquid under high temperatures and much lower pressures than liquid water can tolerate. Lab tests showed that they can form and persist on basaltic rock surfaces at conditions typical of warm, water-depleted rocky exoplanets. Importantly, these fluids can dissolve and stabilize biomolecules like proteins, offering a plausible alternative beyond Earth's reliance on water. So this is what's interesting. We always base the habitability of an exoplanet or another planet in our solar system on how life can thrive and exist on our planet here, which is understandable. Like, that's the first thing you do, is look for how life evolved and thrives and survives here on this planet. We as humans are doing it. Our animals are doing it. Our amphibians, our everything on the planet, our plants, you name it, it's somehow surviving because of this. But here's the last paragraph here, which is exciting. The discovery profoundly expands the traditional concept of planetary habitability. By including ionic liquids as potential solvents for life, the range of exoplanets considered habitable extends beyond the classical liquid water habitable zone to worlds that are too hot or too arid to have surface water, but could still host ionic liquid-based life. So by broadening the definition of necessary liquids for metabolism, this could dramatically increase the number of rocky worlds considered potentially habitable, and offers new pathways in the search for alien life, compelling us to reconsider where and how life might exist beyond Earth. Oh my God, I love it. This is amazing. Sarah, come on the show. Talk about this with us, please. Guys, go to Twitter, tag Sarah Seeger if you can. If you could find an email, reach out to her. Tell her to come on the Somewhere in the Skies podcast. I have reached out to her personally myself. But yeah, let's talk to her. I want to learn more about this and how rocky planets could become our next search for alien life. Amazing. Amazing. Who wants to talk UFOs? That's what we're here for, right? I know that's why you guys are here. I think I missed something here. Oh my gosh, Suzanne, thank you so much for the $10 super sticker. Not only does she bring you all these incredible stories, but she's helping to support Anomicon, which she will be producing slave labor. Not producing, she'll be enduring slave labor during Anomicon. So thank you, Suzanne. I truly do appreciate that. She'll be coming in just a little bit as well. David Grusch. Ever heard of that name? No, me either. Doesn't ring a bell. We talked about David Grusch last week with Suzanne. Unfortunately, his lawsuit against the Loudoun County Sheriff's Office was dismissed. It might not be the end of that story. He has time to appeal. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that. I know some of you land on it should have been dismissed. Some of you don't. But that's not what we're going to talk about tonight when it comes to David Grusch. We have an exciting new update about David Grusch, and it has nothing to do with a lawsuit. It has nothing to do, I guess it kind of has to do with him testifying before Congress. But David Grusch is now a part of something else. Top Gun Maverick and F1 movie team, Joseph Kosinski and Jerry Bruckheimer, are directing a UFO movie with an interesting consultant. Take a wild guess who that consultant is, guys. Apple Original Films was in talks for an untitled UFO disclosure package from Joseph Kosinski and Jerry Bruckheimer, and the deal has closed. The film will reunite Kosinski and Bruckheimer, who worked together on Top Gun Maverick and F1. Did you guys see F1? I've heard incredible things about that movie. I'm a huge Brad Pitt fan. I know nothing about Formula One racing, but I'm willing to because I heard the movie is amazing. Top Gun Maverick was one of my favorite movies in the past decade. Top Gun is one of my favorite movies of all time. And for a sequel, some 20, 30 years later, I thought they knocked it out of the park. It was awesome. I loved Top Gun Maverick. But yeah, this team is getting together to do a kind of thriller-esque espionage UFO movie. So I'm going to play a clip for you guys here. This is, I believe, Collider, the news movie website, interviewing Kaczynski about this upcoming UFO project. So we're going to watch this. And we'll talk a little bit more on the other side about this new UFO movie.
About one other upcoming project that I was reading about and I'm very excited about. It's the UAP movie with Apple. I'm excited about the fact that it brings you together, and that's another project where I just see it giving you the opportunity to flex your immersive filmmaking muscles even further. Yeah. So what is it about continuing your partnership with them and that topic that you think is going to make you, push yourself as a director even more than you already have?
No, I mean, it's an opportunity to work with Jerry Bruckheimer again, and Apple, which has been incredible. The subject itself is fascinating. We're working with some people that are very close to that world that have given us some incredible insight into the topic and what's going on. So, we're working on it right now, and it is fascinating. It's one of those things I think everyone in the world's going to want to know more about, very excited about just the possibilities, and again how we're going to capture the world of it, of that topic. So very excited. After
the 1-2 punch of Top Gun and now this, I have no doubt in my mind you're all going to just absolutely soar with that.
Oh, thank you.
The level of expertise I know you're going to bring in is going to be something else. Ask about one.
Oh, there we go. Sorry about that, guys. There we go. So they're making a new UFO movie. They said they were talking to people. They have consultants on this movie to bring it to life and do it accurately. I guess as accurately as a fictional movie can do. And who is that consultant? Kind of gave it away already. David Grusch. David Grusch will serve as a consultant and associate producer on this project. The project, described in pitches as a, quote, UFO disclosure themed take on All the President's Men, tackles the true story of two men working in national security who uncover a secret program to recover and reverse engineer crashed UFOs. Kaczynski was said to be going for authenticity in his pitch to the studios, and apparently it worked. Former U.S. State Air Force officer and UFO whistleblower David Grusch has been acting as a consultant on this project. In 2023, Grusch testified before Congress that the government had been studying spacecraft and biologics while also suppressing the information from reaching the public. This is awesome. I can't believe in the next year or so, we're going to get this slick espionage thriller about crashed UFOs and UAPs. And possibly in the same year, we're going to get an epic Steven Spielberg event movie about UFOs. Oh, man. I'm a screenwriter, guys. I'm a playwright, screenwriter. I have worked in Hollywood, and this stuff excites me. Despite it being fictional, don't tell me you're not going to see these movies. Do not sit there and tell me you are not going to be one of the first in line. Do not sit there and tell me you're not going to sit there with your family and be like, that's real. What they said there, that's real. That person they were talking about, that's a real person. Let me tell you about him. Let me UFO-splain that to you. It's going to be awesome. Look, we went through this with the Project Blue Book television show. We bitched, we moaned about it because it wasn't accurate. But at the end of the day, we were excited to see a version of J. Allen Hynek. J. Allen Hynek on the small screen. Wow, J. Allen Hynek. There you go, buddy. That was a total slip. I didn't mean to do that. So yeah, I'm excited no matter what. No matter what. So it is a science fiction or non-fiction movie, Robert asks. They are going to be both. It's a convergence of both. Look at everything that Spielberg has worked on in the UFO realm. Supposedly, some of it was based on actual stuff. So So yeah, we shall see. Jamie says, does anyone else feel weird about David's involvement? That's an interesting question, Jamie. Why do you feel compelled to ask that question? Do you think it's weird? I genuinely would like to know, because I get it. I understand the question. Like, is this what he's doing with his time? Consulting on movies? Is he getting paid for it? I do wonder. Not all consulting work is for money. I have consulted on some very big projects that may or may not have to do with Steven Spielberg, and I wasn't paid a dime. I didn't ask for money. If you don't ask for it, they ain't gonna offer it. I can tell you that much. That's how Hollywood works. I was just happy to be involved in any small way. But that's a story for another time. I'm interested. Why do you feel weird about it? Let me know. Okay. I feel like it would be disinformation. Interesting. Okay. But hey, we won't know until we see the movie. And again, we are living in a weird time right now where we are allegedly getting another congressional UFO hearing. We will talk about that at the end of the show. And they're having trouble getting firsthand witnesses. These people who David Grusch supposedly said worked on these things, touched these things, tried to reverse engineer these things, recovered these things. And, maybe Grusch feels like he's sort of hit a wall when it comes to what Congress is doing with this, what his investigation with the Inspector General either concluded or did not conclude. I don't know. Maybe this is another avenue Grusch feels he can get the information out. Albeit very convoluted. Sort of Tom DeLonge-esque, if you think about it, what To the Stars was doing, blending fiction and nonfiction. A lot of people think that's just muddying the waters more. I get that. But yeah, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it, but I'm excited for both movies, the Spielberg one and this one. So I guess we'll leave it at that for now. So I got one more story for you guys here, and then we're going to move to the meat of the live stream sandwich. And we're going to get to the controversies that have been going on lately between Representative Anna Paulina Luna and Luis Elizondo. It has gotten pretty nuclear over there on Twitter between these two, and now on the biggest podcast in the world, Joe Rogan and News Nation. And neither of them are giving up. So the skiff scuffle continues. We will get there in a little bit, guys, I promise. But I got one more story for you here before we bring in Suzanne. We'll take a quick break before that. But this one comes to us from John Greenwald over at the Black Vault, doing incredible work over there with the FOIA. And he found some really interesting stuff recently. The headline here reads, FAA records add black cube sighting to Wright-Patterson Air Force Base drone mystery. You guys remember that? The drone invasion of 2024 into 2025? Oh, man. New Jersey was just getting invaded by these things. We had them over here in the UK. They were all across the East Coast. Skiff scuffle. I cannot pretend that I made that up. I heard that from a couple people. I think Andy McGrillen said it at one point over on that UFO podcast. We have another guy who said it, who we'll bring up later in the show. He's got some interesting stuff to say about the upcoming Congressional UFO hearing. But back to this story, John Greenwald got some interesting documents back about that drone invasion that happened at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, and a cube-shaped UFO that was spotted as well. Newly released Federal Aviation Administration documents obtained through the FOIA expand on previously disclosed Air Force records detailing drone incursions near Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in December of 2024. These FAA materials stem primarily from the Skywatch Incident Reporting System and add precision and breadth to this narrative. They corroborate earlier reports of drone activity, including swarms detected via radar and sightings both by security personnel on the ground and aircraft pilots, complementing the Air Force's own documentation of evasive maneuvers near sensitive areas. The FAA records outline multiple specific sightings in mid-December. On December 17th, radar observed between 7 and 17 targets up to 40 miles from the base, leading to confirmation by Wright-Patterson security forces that these were, in fact, drones. Later that same day, an approaching aircraft spotted a silver drone at about 3,200 feet in altitude. The the records also include precise coordinates aligning much of this activity within the Dayton area and consistent with the Air Force's earlier data. But the most extraordinary element introduced by the FAA records is a pilot's December 19th sighting of a black cube, a uniquely described object that passed approximately 500 feet below a plane at 16,000 feet. 500 feet. That's pretty damn close, to be completely honest. Wow. This black cube does not appear in the Air Force's own public reporting, and interestingly, the FAA's Skywatch entry initially contained the black cube description, but it was subsequently omitted. Why? Why was it omitted? That's interesting. Raising questions about record consistency and transparency. While the coordinates suggest the object fell along a flight corridor connecting to Wright-Patterson, its distinct shape and location mark it as a baffling anomaly amid the broader drone mystery. What was the black cube, guys? That's what I want to know. Definitely stood out amongst these quote unquote drones during all of this. They shut down the base because of this. That's crazy. And then why did they omit the shape of it? I'd like to know. I would like to know. Want to give a special shout out to Joseph. Thank you so much. Did you catch the nun complimenting Spielberg? Yes, Joseph. We actually put that on our social media. If you go over to Somewhere Skies podcast on Twitter, I did post the video of a nun who talked about Steven Spielberg coming to the convent where she worked, and they filmed there for his upcoming UFO movie. And they filmed in the convent, and they filmed with nuns. So there's clearly some sort of religious angle, or at least segment of this movie, which makes me wonder, is Diana Pasulka involved with that movie? Oh my God, I would kill to ask her that. Maybe I will. Maybe I will. I'll try to get an answer for you guys. Even if she did, she's probably hush-hush about it, to be honest. But I do wonder, like, will there be some sort of religious context to the Spielberg movie? That would be interesting. Be an interesting angle for sure. You know, maybe it's a post-disclosure world and the government's struggling to deal with this. Religions across the world are struggling to deal with this. Who knows? Who knows? But I can't wait. I cannot wait. Another shout out to Gaz. Thank you so much for the 10-pound super chat, buddy. Really do appreciate that. Thank you, guys. You are helping to support Anomicon 2025 coming to you September 20th. If you would like to help, you can donate right now through the super chat. Help us reach our goal of 10 super chats tonight, and that will go right towards Anomicon and bringing you our free conference for you to watch on September 20th. Free for you, not free for us to create, to stream, and to produce. So anything you give is greatly, greatly appreciated. So thank you to all of you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, guys, I want you to stick with me. We're going to take a very quick break here, and then we're going to come back with some news about the Need to Know podcast with Bryce Zabel. His new co-host has been revealed. They released their first episode, and it was, as they call it here in the UK, a banger. It was awesome. I cannot wait. We got a clip from that first episode with the brand new co-host. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the new NASA administrator who was seeking the alien briefing. What is the alien briefing? Why is he seeking it? And will he get it? We're going to talk about that. And then we are going to dive headfirst into all of the latest controversy with Paulina Luna and her going on the Joe Rogan show and talking some pretty crazy stuff, if we're going to be completely honest. And that led to some backlash and response from the one and only Luis Elizondo, which has led to a Twitter spat and even going further than that onto national television. So we're going to bring you the latest gossip in the UFO world and so much. Suzanne will be joining us in just a few minutes as well. So stick with us. We'll be right back with Somewhere in the live stream. And we have so much more to talk about. So stay tuned. Greetings, everyone. Ryan Sprague here, host of Somewhere in the Skies. For over 7 years and more than 400 episodes, the Somewhere in the Skies podcast has always been free to listen to, but it's not free to create. So we offer several ways to help support our efforts and get rewards in return. If you listen to the podcast on Apple, you can click the subscribe button at the top of your Somewhere in the Skies feed to become a premium Apple subscriber. Or you can join our Patreon campaign with several tiers available. Both of these options give you the same benefits and rewards: ad-free episodes, early access to the main show, and bonus episodes and content. Help keep the lights on at the Somewhere in the Skies HQ, and help us continue to grow by becoming a Patreon subscriber at patreon.com/somewhereskies, or by clicking the subscribe button at the top of your Apple feed. Thank you for your continued support, and keep looking up. Hey, welcome back, guys, to Somewhere in the live stream. And yes, if you would like to help us in other ways, we have plenty of ways you can do that. You can join our Patreon, where you get early access to the podcast, bonus episodes, and you get to be first in line to ask our guests your listener questions. You can learn more at patreon.com/somewhereskies, or subscribe for Apple Premium. All the links are in the show notes as well. Oh, I forgot to mention, for those of you in the United Kingdom, raise your hand. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 of you. Okay. That was a total joke. I don't know how many of you live in the UK. But if you live in the UK, I recently spoke at a event in Hexham, England. It was awesome. We talked about it last week. You can go back and watch that. It was incredible. And when I go to these events, I have books that I sell, I sign, do whatever. And sometimes you have some left over. And I did. You can see one behind me here in the background if you're watching this on YouTube. But that being said, I got books in the UK, and this is the first time I've ever had books to sign and to sell in the UK. It used to just be in the United States, and I always felt so bad that I wasn't able to ship them internationally. I just couldn't afford it, to be completely honest, and I didn't want to put that price on you guys either. But now that I'm in the UK, this is your guys' chance. If you want a signed book, reach out to me. Email is in the show notes, ryan.sprague51@gmail.com. Reach out to me on social media, and we can discuss signing the books. I got both of them. I've got my older one, which is more of a personal journey of mine through this topic, and I've got my latest one. It's like 3 years now. But this is all stories from you guys who have submitted to our witness accounts episodes as well. Incredible UFO stories in this one. This one too. Do not get me wrong. This is my bestseller. my original book, to be honest. But yes, if you would be interested in either of these, and you want a signed or inscribed copy, reach out to me if you live in the United Kingdom, and I'd be happy to work that out with you as well. Okay, let's move on to our next story, and we're going to bring her in so you guys know what that means. You behave there in the chat. You guys have been awesome tonight, to be completely honest. That's because we haven't gotten to the controversial stuff yet, but we will. We will. But I want to know what she thinks about the new host of the Need to Know podcast. I want to know what she thinks about the NASA administrator. I want to know what she thinks of Anna, Paulina, Luna, and Luis Elizondo and everything going on there. So, without further ado, let's bring her in. It is the one, it is the only Suzanne Landers. Welcome back.
Hi, everybody. How is everyone today?
How you guys doing? Let her know in the chat. Let me get your background. You have your own background. Isn't that cool?
Oh, okay, good. That's good. My very own.
Yes, yes.
Well,
how are you?
Add any more drama this week? I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what else would have to happen for drama, but gosh.
Who would have thought that there would be drama in the UFO community? It astounds me. It astounds me.
And it took off. I kept thinking, oh, surely this is going to calm down in a sec. And it just kept escalating.
It seems to be continuing to escalate as well. Tensions are high in places where they shouldn't. And we will talk about that. But let's start with some good news, Suzanne. Okay. We got a brand new co-host of the Need to Know podcast. For those of you who don't listen, go subscribe to the Need to Know podcast with Bryce Sable. And the former co-host of that was Australian reporter, News Nation reporter, Ross Coulthard. But we recently learned that Ross has decided to leave the show. I don't know if that was voluntary or involuntary. We may never know the truth behind that. Yeah. However, the newest episode of Need to Know dropped with the new co-host, and it is the one, the only, Richard Dolan. So what did you think when the news broke?
I thought it was fresh and good. What did you think? I thought it was a good decision, perhaps, shockingly, because I think, Ross Coulthard does a great job on his journalism, but I was really surprised, and I think this is going to work well for them.
So I've known both of these guys for years now. I've spoken at events with them. Dolan published my first book. The guy changed my life, to be honest. He was the first guest ever on the Somewhere in the Skies podcast. He has supported me for so long in my UFO endeavors. I don't know if I've ever told this story. I spoke at an event in Rochester, New York, which is where Richard Dolan used to live. And I was up there talking, and there was this guy in the audience who every 5 to 10 minutes would stand up and just say, "You're wrong. No, that's not right." And then he would just start espousing his conspiracy theories and everything. And twice I politely was like, I everyone's opinion is valid, sir. I'd be happy to talk about this with you after the presentation. I only have limited. I was trying to be very polite and professional. By the third time this guy did it, strike 3, you're out. Richard Dolan got up and he said, "Shut the hell up, or we're going to kick you the F out of here." Oh. He said, "This is so disrespectful of you to be doing this. Nobody is here to listen to you. Like, Ryan has been very nice about it. I'm not going to be as nice." And it was that like movie moment. Everyone stood up and clapped and they were like, "Yeah, get out of here," blah, blah. It was crazy. It was crazy. And again, just, Dolan can be a little controversial every now and again when it comes to politics and his thoughts on like the deep state and stuff like that. Okay. But at the end of the day, like, he's a good guy, and he's done a lot for me. And I do highly value his historical perspective on the UFO topic. So love him. Bryce, love Bryce. Bryce is in my upcoming documentary, my Shag Harbor documentary, and just been a big supporter of his for years too. And these guys wrote a book together like a long time ago called AD After Disclosure, which was like a forecast of what disclosure would look like. And now we're kind of living in an age of some disclosure. And I love that they're back together again. And we can now have that conversation of where were they right? Where were they wrong? What did they think of today's UFO landscape and conversation? And that's what their first episode back together was about. Were you able to catch any of that?
I got bits and pieces of it. I couldn't sit down and watch the whole thing, too much going on, but I'm going to pick up where I left off. And I love that story about him. You know, he carries a little bit of baggage from early days in the disinformation world. I think it's probably a fair way to say it, back when that was a job that it had to be done. And according to his job. But I'd love the synchronicity of this, that they had a relationship and whatever went on with Ross went on, but now here they are, it dovetailed in. And I love that story that he stood up and defended you, because we've all been there in that moment where someone takes way too much liberty with a speaker in a public arena. And he's right. People aren't there to hear someone in the audience. They're there to hear a particular speaker for a particular reason. So that makes me like him.
Yeah. Yeah. Jay Ellen says, is Dolan going to be the new co-host? Yes. He officially is the new co-host. Now, what I think is happening here is the show where it was kind of like weekly or bi-weekly will now be like once a month.
Once a month.
So that's good. I like that. It gives them plenty of time to like come up with a really good core theme and like just expand upon that. And I love it. I love it.
Really work it. You can actually do some serious depth. I don't know that our listeners can really appreciate, without being in the trench with us, on what it's like to read all this and listen to all this and then cull it and then decide what comes on and what doesn't. It is a whole lot to do every week. I don't know how you were doing it on your own. Somehow you did it, but it's a lot. So that's really interesting that they are going to take extra time, which I think could be really needed. You know, it's easy to hit the gloss, hit the top part, and to get as much out as you can, but interesting also to do a deep dive, have the opportunity and the freedom to do a deep dive.
For sure. Yeah. And, you know, like Ross Coulthard brought a very finger on the pulse, very current, up-to-date news angle to this, where Richard is a historian. So we now get like a completely different approach to all of this. Like, we learn from the past. And I think that's what Dolan will bring to this, where with Ross, we were kind of learning as we go. And that is the job of a journalist and a reporter. So like,
and that's needed. That has its place, right? That has a place that's important and needs to be done. But so does this.
Yep. And I think that needs to be done with Ross's reality check. So I think it's good that he's going to focus on that and do that, where Need to Know can now be its own thing. I actually have a really cool clip from their first episode together, if you don't mind. This is kind of them coming back together, you know, reuniting and kind of explaining what the show will be now and what Dolan will bring to it in this current state of ufology. And do you mind if I play that?
Go for it.
Cool. Let me find it here. All right. Here we go. Give this a watch, guys.
Good, Ross, for so many shows. And Ross is a newsman. He is a journalist. He is always looking for what's new, and that's his job, and he's good at it. Yes. I'm not as good at that, and it's not really my thing. Now, it's funny because I've been doing this subject for a very long time, and I have my own YouTube channel. And so I'm always feeling pressure, and that is the right word here, to be on top of all the news, to have a take on it, because I know, like, whenever something big happens, there will be people who will want me to provide my my perspective on it. And the thing is, like, there's a part of me that doesn't like chasing headlines. Like, I'm not into that. On the other hand, I recognize, like, there are important news stories that do come up, and we are definitely in a time now where the UFO news is happening a lot more than it ever did. So we all have to be on top of it. But for me, I will just give you my perspective. I am very much of the opinion that a lot is missing in our current cultural discussion on this subject. And what is missing is, you used the word earlier, context. A lot of the bigger issues are just not being explored the way they should be. Abductions. Who's talking about abductions? No one. Have they just gone away? Or are we just embarrassed to talk about it because, Mellon and Elizondo don't want to talk about it? And the major media doesn't want to talk about it. I suspect, there's this little bit of a dance that people are trying to do. They want the subject to be respectable. And we all understand that. But the fact is, I did a video about a month ago. I said, what if it's all real? Just
right on. I remember that.
That was great. What if there are bases, alien bases 10 miles from your house? What if there's one underground? Like, it's got to be somewhere. I think that there probably are literal alien bases. And for me, what's missing in our cultural discussion is the actual visceral reality of other beings that are probably here on this planet right now, that don't look like us, that are probably 3 times smarter than us or more, that can probably crawl inside your mind and know what you're thinking. And they're just here doing their thing, and they do not want to interact with us in a broad scale way. They're doing their own thing. What is their thing? We don't have any discussion on this. And so me, for better or for worse, that's what I'm obsessed with. I am obsessed with trying to understand who they are, where they're from, and mostly what are they? What do their behaviors seem to tell us? How can we understand what is going on? So to me, I'm hoping, and I believe that we can go in partly in that direction, while we also cover what's new and what's happening and what's the latest he said, she said scandal that, happens in our field or whatever.
Interesting. He said, she said scandal. That will dovetail nicely into our last story tonight. But wow. I didn't catch the second half of that clip. I didn't know Dolan went full on like, they're here, they're in our minds.
That's right.
I've never heard him talk like that before. But it was so refreshing.
Wasn't it?
And I agree with Rich so much that, and I've said this, I think, on the live stream in the past, the thing ufology is missing right now is the mother effing UFOs. The discussion
as well, right?
Yeah, the discussion has moved strictly to policy, to disclosure acts, and don't get me wrong, like, I know you're a big advocate for that stuff. I am too. At the end of the day, if done right, I don't think it is currently being done right. But you and other people are trying to change that. But what we are missing right now is the conversation about experiencers, about witnesses, about the implication of life, alien life, interdimensional life, something having already visited our planet. So, yeah, I'm so excited. I can't wait to see what they do next.
I am too. We got a great question from Ryan Cooper.
Ooh.
What was Ross's departure from Need to Know directly related to his Lockheed Tic Tac bombshell a few weeks ago?
Ryan, thank you so much for the super chat. Appreciate
Thank
that.
you all. We're getting several here.
Okay.
Ryan, I suspect that is probably related. I'll tell you how it struck me, but I obviously don't know for sure. But it struck me like the straw that broke the camel's back. These two, there was a little conflict off and on. I don't know if it was readily available to the general public to see it, but those of us jigging around sort of in the underpants of the topic, we would see little conflicts. And I just had a funny feeling maybe that was the last straw. But I don't know that. It could just be that Ross was really busy. He has a huge audience at News Nation and a huge outlet. And maybe that's all it was. He just could not do 2 anymore. But whatever it is, we wish him all well. And I think this is going to be a good combo for Bryce.
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, totally. Again, it's just going to be a different show, which I think any show should do. We've changed throughout the years. Like, you have been a huge addition to everything we do here. I've had kind of semi-regular co-hosts in the past, and sometimes you get involved with too much stuff, I've done it. I'm guilty of that all the time. I do way too much. I never sleep. I never eat. I never, take care of myself like I
Too much
should.
going on.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
like you got to know when you're kind of burning the candle at each end. And I think, for Ross, he's focused on his journalism moving forward and what stories he can break. With Need to Know, I think, now it is something different. So yeah, I don't know if his TikTok comments had anything to do with it, but I do suspect, like you do, that it was probably kind of the last moment. You could tell Bryce was very taken back when Ross just dropped that on him in the middle of a recording. I mean, to be fair, that was a recorded episode. They easily could have cut that out.
They could, but they didn't.
And they didn't.
That's right.
So I will, in Ross's defense, that all could have been taken out, but clearly they kept it in. But I do agree with you. I think they kind of probably were both like, let's step back and look at this and see if, are we still on the same page here? Maybe not. Can you dedicate the time? I don't know if I can. We live in different countries. It's hard.
It is
hard. It's hard for you and I to remember when we do recordings and stuff sometimes.
Right. I don't know how many times we've had a near miss. One of us like, oh my God, I'm an hour off because I'm in a new time zone. So
oh my God.
But I also think there comes a time when you are as connected as Ross and Bryce were, where you really do benefit from a different brain thinking differently on the same topic you've been entrenched in, sort of. Sometimes it's really refreshing and very positive to get a different perspective, have a different
Absolutely.
Place.
I think that's so important. When I write a script, I'm so tunnel vision that I will, at one point I'll send it to a few friends and be like, you've never read this before, please tell me what you think, from the gut. You gotta step outside of it and get fresh eyes on it. And I think that's what they're doing here. And again, fresh eyes, but an old friendship. And you can tell the chemistry between Bryce and Richard Dolan is vastly different than it was from Ross. Don't get me wrong. Ross is a nice guy. They got along great too. But this reminds me of just two buddies who took a journey 10 something years ago, wrote a book together, have stayed in touch ever since, and are finally back together again. So I love it.
Really enjoy it. It's one thing that I would love for our listeners to know too, how much we enjoy doing this. How much can it be stressful and difficult and frustrating? It can be all of those things. But if you really like that other person and respect that other person and get along well, it's a bucket of fun. And I hope they get to have that same fun. It looks to me like they will.
Yeah, I would have to agree. Yeah, for sure. Let's send out a special shout out to Let's Talk Tech. Thank you so much for the super chat as well. Thanks for all you do. Thank you. Brian Russell as well, $9.99. Ryan and Suzanne, you're awesome. Ryan, I just bought your book. Oh my gosh, thank you, Brian.
Yay!
Appreciate that. What beer should I drink with it? Ooh, good question. I'm gonna say you should drink Samuel Smith Oatmeal Stout. I remember that was the beer of choice when writing a lot of my books. That was just hooked on this stuff. It's like a very toasty, malty imperial stout. And I don't know why they call it oatmeal. Maybe they do mash some oatmeal in there. But oh my God, Suzanne, it's so good.
So good.
Are you a beer drinker at all?
I like beer, but I'm really a martini girl. As Gaz in the chat can tell you, I was lucky enough to get to meet him in London a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And I'm a vodka martini girl.
That's fair.
But I do like a Manhattan too. So and I think that's his drink of choice as well.
Classy. I love it. I love it. I was in California recently for a funeral, unfortunately. However, for the reception of the funeral, I was the bartender. That was my job. Not getting paid, but that's what I could
responsibility.
Yeah. And I was happy that I could help this family. It was the family of my partner. That I could just do something for them. And if it's gonna be slinging suds, I'll do it. And
then
oh my God.
Why not?
I was a bartender for 15 years. It brought back so much memory, so much muscle memory. I literally was in pain the next day because I was using all these muscle.
You're going for it.
Yeah, oh my God. And I made this special drink, and I think I made about 80 of them. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Oh my gosh.
But,
oh my gosh. That's a good thing to do, though. Certainly lighten the mood.
oh my God, it did. And sending my love to that entire family for sure. All right.
We from the biologist.
What's that? Oh, biologist, late fee. Yes, you turn that book in. You turn that book in. Kurt with a super sticker. Thank you so much, buddy.
So
Truly
sweet.
do appreciate that. You guys are killing it. Thank you so much. I don't
They're
think I
gonna hit
missed
that goal, I think.
Yes, I think we're gonna hit it. Okay. Wow. Okay. Need to know. I'm sorry. Love you guys, but we've spent way too much time on your story. We are going to move to our next story of the night, Suzanne, and that is, where is it? Boom. NASA. You ready for this? NASA administrator seeking the alien briefing. So I kind of have like a setup for this one. I've got 3 videos to play, and they kind of all bleed into one another. And I do want to give a special shout out to our good buddy Patrick over at Vetted. He did a video on this a couple days ago and kind of strung these together. I broke them apart here for you guys, but if anyone wants to watch like a really full version of this entire story, head on over to the Vetted show on YouTube and hit subscribe. He's a good friend as well and does some great work over there daily. Dude comes out with a quote unquote bombshell every day. It's crazy.
Makes me tired. I don't know how he does it.
Oh my God. I know. I thought I worked a lot. My God. But yeah, shout out to Patrick over there if you're watching this, buddy. But yes, NASA administrator seeking the alien briefing. So I want to rewind to an interview that Tulsi Gabbard gave. She is the current director of national intelligence, and she gave an interview to the New York Post recently, and she was asked about UFOs. And I promise this will lead into the story because otherwise I would never play a video involving Tulsi Gabbard. But here we are. So, Suzanne, I'm going to go ahead and play this, and then we'll take it from there, okay?
Okay, go for it.
All right. Here we go.
There's been a lot of...
My husband is in the corner, for the record, pumping his fist right now that you're asking this question.
So, I mean, is there anything... We've had some declassification of some very strange videos that look like they are, unidentified flying objects. Is there anything in the files that you think you could find or you have found?
Nothing that I'm prepared to talk about today. We are I'm just going to say this. We're continuing to look for the truth and share that truth with the American people.
The truth is out there.
Yes, it is.
So do you believe that there could be aliens?
I honestly, like, my personal belief, I have my own views and opinions.
Right.
In this role, I got to be careful with what I share.
Very interesting.
and I'm laughing. My husband's laughing in the corner because we have these same conversations, and obviously I don't share any classified information outside of my building with those who have clearances.
Interesting. I love how Kurt here said, shout out to the husband fist pumping. So
I also think everybody needs to remember her phrase about having to be careful what she talks about around classified information, because that certainly begins to play a role later in the week.
Yes, it does. Very,
What she expects from others.
Yep. Strikingly similar, to say the least. So this would ultimately lead to a radio interview that current NASA administrator Sean Duffy took part in, where this interview with Tulsi Gabbard was brought up in kind of relation to the drone incursions that we had talked about earlier in the show today, over New Jersey and the East Coast, and even over here in the UK. And during that interview with, I want to get this right, Jimmy Fallon on the Fox Across America podcast, Sean Duffy made an interesting comment about not receiving a certain briefing. So I'm going to go ahead and play a small clip from the radio interview, and then we will continue down this thread, because Patrick over at Vetted found something interesting that I also want to highlight. But let's go ahead and hear that small clip from the interview. Let me find
Ready
it
if you are.
I'm always ready.
Always.
All right, here we go.
This week talked about the fact that aliens could be real and she might want to declassify a few things. Now, all I can tell you is what I know, Duffy. We know the drones are not from New Jersey because they've been using their blinkers. Now what?
Well, first off, Jimmy, saw the drones. The drones are real, right? I don't think we had the accoutrements in position to actually see what that was. But I but tell you what, I just want to be really clear. I haven't had the alien briefing yet, but I've asked for it.
Okay.
So I can't comment on it. And I can't wait to come back and talk about the highly classified information on your show. I'm going to get in this briefing. And by the way, I'm kidding. I'm not going to do that. But actually, you know what I do? I mean, I think we're in a space right now in America that we want transparency. I mean, people do, you know, and there's decisions that have to be made, but as much as if feasibly possible, we want to share as much information with the American people.
Okay. So he wants the alien briefing, and he is requesting that he get it. Now, this obviously caught the attention of the UFO community. People have been really latching on to that part of this interview. But I think it's also important to keep this quote into context of who Sean Duffy is, what his other work is, despite just being the NASA administrator. But what did you think, Suzanne? What were your initial thoughts when you first heard him ask about the alien briefing?
I had a funny feeling it might have been a mistake to be teasing about talking about classified information on podcast later, and then trying to, make sure it was a joke. I know he was joking. I'm not trying to take him too seriously, but my immediate reaction was, he's not going to get that briefing. It's like, this is not how you get that briefing, but crazier things have happened. I don't know. What did you think?
I find it interesting because this is the first time a NASA representative has, like, in front of the public stated, maybe he was joking, like, about an alien briefing, but what he wasn't joking about was the transparency issue here when it comes to UAP. And we all know that NASA has been less than open and transparent when it comes to this topic. And it really does, I think, sort of legitimize the idea that government agencies might have, like, some sort of classified information on UAP that NASA should know about, but possibly doesn't. So I don't know. I find it interesting, and I do think he should be inquiring about things like that. And I also think he has an interest in it.
I do too.
Possibly a vested interest, which I'll get to in just a moment. But yeah, sorry, go on.
That's all right. Oh, I was just going to add that teasing about that and connecting the request for the briefing and the transparency issue, I worry is just going to make him look like a potential enemy to those who are holding the secrets. Does it make it harder, in other words, for him to get himself over the line for the briefing by vocally supporting transparency? I don't know, but he may put a target on his own back.
Good point. Yeah, this could actually, like, blow up in his face and effectively cost us some transparency when it comes to this topic. It's interesting. Now, the thing that Patrick sort of brought up in his episode about this story is interesting. I'm going to play one more clip here from News Nation, and it has to do with Sean Duffy, who actually saw the drones. He saw the drone incursions. And he had some interesting stuff to say. So I wanted to play that and then end with something that I think is going to kind of change our entire perspective on this story. Maybe not for the better. But yeah, let me go ahead and play this clip and then we'll take it from there. Let me
Ready.
find it here. Okay, here we go. This is from News Nation.
3 or 4 days when people were seeing drones and it wasn't a big national news story, we don't know what it was. In all honesty, we don't. We have to refine our technology and our deployment of that technology to make sure we don't just see airplanes, but we see drones in the airspace as well. And if you look at the national security issue, what's happening between Russia and Ukraine, drones are a key part of weaponry.
And I think that's what a lot of Americans were concerned, that it was a foreign adversary. So you're not necessarily ruling that out. You're saying we don't know at this point what it was.
With complete clarity, I don't know.
Wow. And is that something you're interested in investigating more? What does that investigation look like?
So there's the investigation. There's nothing we can do because we didn't see what was there. Though I'll tell you, I saw it, and that was very real. The point is, though, this is a whole of government approach. This is the FAA, this is DOT, this is DOD, this is others looking at what kind of system do we want to deploy to make sure we cover our airspace.
Okay, so any initial thoughts on that?
Oh yeah, you know me.
Okay.
I've got some thoughts. So how do we square that with what the current president just said this week about, oh, I know what the drones are, nothing to worry about?
Mm-hmm. Right.
No.
Yeah.
I think this guy reads as telling the truth, that it is not known what those objects were. But I don't know how to square it with, the president's statement.
Okay. Yeah, I do agree with you. There seems to be conflicting statements coming out from both Trump, other individuals, and then this guy. However, I find this last sort of tidbit about this interesting. Sean Duffy recently gave a kind of introductory speech to something that Trump himself is putting into motion. And that's this project that is quote unquote titled Drone Dominance in the United States. So what I'm gathering from this is that what those drone incursions were, I am almost convinced at this point, was us. Not a foreign adversary, not extraterrestrials. I think it was to test drone dominance and to test it over our own people, to see the reaction, to see how many of them were sighted, to see what these drones were capable of, or for other reasons that we will never truly know why these quote-unquote tests were done. And I do think this guy might be a part of it. He's very close with Trump. He is a Trump supporter. Say what you will about that. I don't want to get political in terms of but that does affect what this guy is saying on this topic, especially when he's going around promoting this new project of drone dominance. So I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. Was it all a joke about getting the alien files? Is all of this, is he trying to garner interest in these unknowns because then he can unleash this drone dominance thing on the public? I don't know. I just
That's
don't
a bit
know.
of a cover.
He's also the Secretary of Transportation. We need to keep that in mind. He's not just the NASA administrator. This guy is in charge of the transportation and stuff like that. I mean, doesn't that include aircraft, I would assume?
You would think. You would think all the logistical issues would bring them right in. I don't know what to make of it. He seems to be telling the truth. Mm-hmm. And I think that it would be exceedingly dangerous for us to have basically conducted what is a military operation or a government operation in open airspace over Americans with no notice. But that doesn't mean that doesn't happen and hasn't happened. I just think, I think of all the military personnel and how they would react to that, including local police and that sort of thing. Dangerous position to be in if that's what they've done, but it may be what they've done.
Yeah. Stranger things have happened, right? We might have Lockheed might have been putting Tic Tacs up in training exercises too, apparently.
Exactly. Apparently, Ross is right. It's all us.
Yeah. If there's one thing I've learned as an American, it's that our government will do anything.
Yep.
And that's scary.
It's very disappointing, isn't it?
It is. It is.
It is. It's not what I want them to be. It's not who I want them to be, but it is who they are.
It is the stark reality we live in, unfortunately. Hopefully someday that'll change. But okay, let's move on from NASA. Let's get to the gossip. This is Gossip Corner here on Somewhere in the Live Stream.
Today's soap opera is brought to you.
Man, you know me. I try to stay away from that stuff, but like
this needs some attention though because of how it's teeing itself up. So I completely agree that we need to talk about it.
Okay, good. I'm glad I'm not the only one. So what do I have here? Oh, I totally missed a bunch of slides. Okay. Here's what everyone is actually here to hear us talk about, and that is the Anna Paulina Luna and Luis Elizondo skiff scuffle, as we're calling it.
That's exactly what it is.
But we got to start from the beginning. Now, Anna Paulina recently went on the Joe Rogan Experience podcast, and I got a couple clips because they're pretty interesting. She said some pretty bold stuff. So I want to play those. And then the last clip is where this will bleed into the Elizondo side of all of this. So this first clip is about her talking about, let me get this straight, interdimensional beings, Suzanne.
Yes.
So we're going there. So let's hear her talk about interdimensional beings with Joe Rogan and the Joe Rogan Experience.
Ready when you are.
Awesome. Let me find that here. Here we go.
Tell you, and this might sound crazy, but based on our investigations and stuff that we've seen, okay, there is definitely something that I think would rival what we know currently with physics, and a tech that potentially is out there that we don't have the ability to reproduce, because it would basically be like dropping a cell phone right off back during the time of maybe cavemans. So like we just don't have the tech to develop it yet. What I can also tell you is based on our interviews, and this has been something that you can go back and watch with the congressional hearings, but I was actually able to ask some of the witnesses, what are these things? And they keep saying interdimensional. And then when you talk about the interdimensional aspect of, are these things pre-existing, maybe outside of what we currently know as our own dimension? That stuff can kind of all sound crazy, but at the end of the day, my job as an investigator is to receive all the information, decipher it, and then ultimately from a congressional aspect, if you do have contractors that are withholding information or operating outside of the purview of the federal government, there's budgetary issues, but there's definitely something that I can tell you with confidence that exists that we don't know how to explain currently.
So when you say that it operates outside our understanding of physics, what specifically are you saying? Like what happened?
To I guess break it down in simple terms is that I think that some of the tech that exists, that whatever these things have, these energy things have,
energy things? What do you mean?
Well, they call them interdimensional beings. I think that they can actually operate through the time spaces that we currently have. Based on testimony would be based on witnesses that have come forward, but what I can tell you is
the witnesses just were told that they were interdimensional?
that they've seen things. And what I can tell you without getting into classified conversations is that there have been incidences that I believe where very credible people have reported that there have been movement outside of time and space.
That's very vague.
I love the end of that clip there.
Very big statement.
So I want to make it clear, I'm not a huge Rogan fan. It's not a show I normally listen to. Until the topic of UFOs comes up, I'll check it out. I'm also not a huge fan of Anna Paulina Luna, to be completely transparent. But there were some interesting things said during this interview. This was one of them. This isn't the first time we've heard of the interdimensional theory. We pose that all the time on this show. And it is a possibility when it comes to what these UFOs are or aren't. But when put into the context of her kind of bouncing around during this interview with all these different things, it kind of makes her look crazy. And that's the problem. Now, what did you think of this first clip here?
Well, first of all, let's not miss the moment where a government official is actually putting out the concept of interdimensional beings, right? That's sort of the start mark for me on this thing. It's like, okay, somebody said it out loud from a position of government. So I think that step is a good step. I don't understand how whatever it is she's talking about isn't classified. And so I don't know what to make of that. Where are these witnesses? Are these some of the people who may be in the next hearing in September? Who are these people? Share it. If you can talk about it on Joe Rogan, you can tell us, you can share with us. So that part I don't quite get. Maybe it is just her personal beliefs. I know that there's some science out there that supports this concept as being possible. So I don't discount the concept. I'm just not sure what perspective we're hearing. Her personal one, or are we hearing something that's happened in a skiff, or just chitter chatter behind the scenes?
Yeah. And, we cut the clip short because she starts to get into some like religious territory, and she is known to be a pretty religious extremist from what I recall. So that kind of gets into some murky territory. Again, I don't think it helps her case any when going on such a big platform like this. When it comes to wordage as a congressional member, she's got it down. Like transparency, government, purview, budget, blah, blah, blah. Like she's got that down. But then when she starts going into areas that she isn't too familiar with, and look, I'm not just blaming her. I wouldn't know how to talk about interdimensional beings. None of us would. I could barely get through these science stories tonight at the beginning of the show. Me no talk good when science come to me. But yeah, I found that one. I would have to agree with you. I think there were more eloquent ways she could have put this stuff for sure.
So, and I sure would love to know source. It'd be so great.
Source.
Every once in a while, they sourced it. We have to source what we talk about. Why do they not have to source it? And they don't.
Right. All right. This is a question from Shepard Johnson. Wasn't there something about Luna going to Eglin Air Force Base? Funny you mentioned that. That's our next clip.
That's right.
This one I found very interesting. So let's watch this clip and talk about it on the other side. Then I promise, guys, we're getting to the Elizondo skiff scuffle. But give this one a watch about Eglin Air Force Base. Now, I should mention she did go there. I'll give a little context here. She and her team, she's part of this, what do they call it? The Federal Secrets Task Force,
right?
I think it's called. Yeah. They went to Eglin Air Force Base and they spoke to pilots who claimed that the base was covering up UFO events. And she visited the base to investigate, and she got pushback for doing so. And then something really interesting happened when she was at the base talking to one of the superiors there. So I'm going to go ahead and play that now.
Ready.
All right. Where is it? Here we go.
Brings us to what happened at Eglin Air Force Base. So in a nutshell, we had been told so Representative Gates had come forward and said that he had two or three pilots that had contacted him saying that the Air Force was covering up information regarding to UAP activity in the Panhandle, and he wanted us to go with him to investigate. So we show up at Eglin Air Force Base. We're met by the base commander. Previous to us even showing up on this congressional delegation to investigate, the Pentagon had tried to cancel the meeting. And you can't, so this was under the last administration, so you can't just cancel a meeting and say you can't come to the base. That doesn't work. So Gates actually was on House Armed Services at the time that oversees the U.S. military. And so Gates got the chairman involved, calls back onto the Pentagon, gets this meeting on the books. And, we told them specifically, we want to see information on UAPs, we want to see the evidence, and we want to have the pilots that saw these aircraft, whatever they are, or these spacecraft, we want to have briefings from them. In a nutshell, we get to Eglin Air Force Base. They keep BSing us about the Chinese spy balloon. That's not what we were there to see. And ultimately, we were in the skiff. We got into a verbal disagreement with the base commander at the time, who was denying us access to the pilots and to the information, and said that we didn't have the authorization. In the skiff, there was many members of the intelligence community. We then go back upstairs to the conference room and proceed to, again, basically have it out with this commander. And Representative Burchett said, we could do this the easy way or the hard way. You choose, sir.
Like a movie. Ooh.
Kind of, but it was at the time.
I like it when people use a movie.
Easy way or the hard way. And if it's the hard way, you're going to have, Representative Gates and Luna in D.C. questioning you. So I suggest you do it the easy way. So he actually, in the middle of the meeting, we were kind of holding his feet to the fire on it. He kind of got nervous as we were talking to him. And I kid you not, he goes, they're going to like that I'm not going to let you see this. So he kind of was thinking out loud, but didn't realize that he was basically saying it. And then in the middle of our meeting, he gets up and leaves the room. I have to go to the restroom or something. And then maybe 5 minutes later, this tech sergeant comes in and says, oh, the base commander's been authorized to go on leave to Georgia. He won't be coming back. And I'm sitting there looking at Gates and Burchett. I'm like, he just left in the middle of a congressional delegation. That's never happened.
So he said out loud, they would be happy that I'm not telling you?
Yeah. Verbally articulated it. Gates was there. My husband was there.
But here's the
Burchett
thing.
was there.
It's just if that guy's, he's in a powerless situation, right? If he does give you access,
he's going to get in trouble.
He might be really in trouble.
But here's the problem. He can't, even if it was someone at the Secretary of Defense, right? Because at the time, this got pretty high level.
I'm not saying it's not illegal.
Yeah. He still, at the end of the day, you're in the military. How our government functions is the military does not decide what the civilian sector and what representatives can and cannot see. It's not supposed to function like that. So he got up and left. I've never seen this happen. I was in the military. I've never seen, in the middle of a congressional delegation. These are big deals. You just get up and go and leave to Georgia and you just don't come back, in the middle of the meeting. It never happens.
What state were you in the time?
We were in Florida.
Oh,
he just,
that's hilarious.
get up and, drove to Georgia. What the hell are you doing in Georgia in the middle of a congressional delegation?
I'm going fishing.
See ya. And then his second in command comes in, and they managed to get one pilot to come down and brief us. And what I will tell you is that we've seen stuff that I don't believe was created by mankind.
So you can't tell us what you saw, but
I'm gonna let you infer.
Okay. That is hilarious. The guy was
crazy.
I gotta pee, and then never came back. Literally ran out of the building and left. Wow. Interesting story. Everyone in the chat, including your husband, are like, why is her husband in a skiff meeting?
In a skiff. Exactly. That's the
who
only
is he?
comment I
Who's
have.
her husband?
I don't understand. We can't get the whistleblowers in skiffs safely. Why is a husband unrelated to all this in a skiff?
I'm going to look up really quick. Anna Paulina Luna husband. Who is
Maybe he's got the clearance and we just don't know about him much.
Okay, he was in the military. I see photos of him in a military outfit. So maybe he does have some sort of clearance. I mean, look, James Fox went in a skiff. Jeremy Corbell and George Knapp went in a skiff. So I guess anyone can kind of get into a skiff. But then again, I'm like, then why was it so damn hard to get skiffs for Grusch? And I don't know. I don't
either.
Any of this.
And it's not just clearance, but it's also need to know. So how does he fit into that picture? Maybe we ought to be focusing on that. Who is he and how did he get clearance and need to know?
Yeah. The last thing I want to think about is Anna Paulina Luna or her husband, but that's a story for another time. So, okay. Eglin Air Force Base, as we know, had a very dramatic UFO sighting. A huge rectangular UFO was seen over the base. Apparently, there was video or something like that. And they went there to investigate this, and they were basically told, like, no, we're not going to tell you.
Yep.
That's like, oh, God, I
Again.
hate that. I hate that.
Yep.
And then this guy just is like, they're going to love that I'm not going to tell you anything. Who does that?
Who talks out loud?
Man.
These settings in particular. In my mind, it's everyone's absolutely silent unless there's a need to speak, and you're the authorized speaker. So
yeah.
It's not T for 2 or 4,
Oh, man. Hey, T. T is the perfect transition.
Time
Suzanne,
for some tea.
let's get to the tea. We're coming up on the hour 45 here, so I don't want to keep you here or our lovely chat. You guys are doing awesome.
They're doing great. They are.
Thank you guys. Let us know what you think in the chat, but this is where things are going to get pretty dicey. So one of the last clips I'm going to show here, I'm just going to show the clip. Now, Rogan asked about, congressional hearings. You guys you did one of those recently. You had like Luis Elizondo there. You had that Schellenberger dude. You got a guy from NASA. Like, that was interesting. Like, what comes next? And she had a pretty interesting answer. So let's just play the clip, and then we'll take it from there, because it gets interesting. It's a doozy. All right. Here we go.
I wanted to do when I first got the task force is open up a skiff to any person who held a clearance to come brief us on what they knew about UAPs. And I can tell you that we've now had
what was
the
the
skiff.
first conversation like when the door shuts and you're like, oh boy, I'm
well,
gonna get the goods?
The problem is I've reached out to some of the biggest names in UFO lore. Okay. And they all got skiff flu, and we call it skiff flu, meaning like the day that the skiff was open that we reserved it, we're like, we're here, like, come on, come brief us. They get sick, or
and
their dog dies.
They didn't recover and come back?
They didn't recover, and then they just don't talk to us anymore. So
they ghost you?
They ghost us. Yeah, so I'm like, well, if you're not going to tell me to skiff, then you're full of crap.
Or you're scared for your life because you're just a scientist who doesn't, maybe they got threatened. Maybe someone let them know that maybe someone hung something on their door in the middle of the night.
But if people say they're going to go tell us in a skiff and then they don't show up, it's a problem, right?
Well,
so they've already gone public.
But maybe those people don't feel like the government's going to protect them.
That is one of the biggest things that we've had people bring up, is that you're a whistleblower, but whistleblower protections only go so far, and you can't do anything for my physical safety. And some of them do allege that there's these actual physical concerns.
Okay, so without directly naming anyone, several people believe that she was implying them, and that was one and only Luis Elizondo. And he was not too happy. He would respond to this by going on Twitter, and this is where things
this is where the de-evolution began.
Oh gosh. This is where things go off the rail. So I'm going to put this full screen. You people will be able to hear us, Suzanne. But I want to go ahead and read what Luis Elizondo said in response to this Joe Rogan segment. Luis Elizondo said on Twitter, or X, whatever the hell you want to call this dumpster fire of a website. He said, after several visits to D.C. at the request of members of Congress at my own expense, we were given cancellation at the last minute. After coming back home again, I made it clear the last time that I had a pre-existing commitment. I was given 3 days notice and no guarantees while having commitment to speaking at an Oregon publicly available event. Luna knows the truth, and we have the emails to prove it. I will chalk this up to her not being informed by her staff and an innocent mistake. I hope. Otherwise, let this be a lesson to future whistleblowers who want congressional protections. This is all about media attention and less about truth. I hope this is not the case. And I suspect Chris Mellon and others at the UAP-PDF that know the truth may have more to say about this. So, before we get to her response, what did you make of Elizondo's initial
Well, I thought the tone of it was good. He's giving her the benefit of the doubt, but he is calling her out, but he's calling her out politely. I think he's probably telling the truth. I don't know where the cancellations came from. Maybe she wasn't aware that things had been canceled. Maybe she was. It's hard to imagine that they thought that they could pull these whistleblowers from literally all over the country, both ends of the country, at the last minute into a skiff, and that was going to fly. So
yeah,
I think they screwed up. I think the group screwed up, not the whistleblowers.
I would have to agree with you. I think Elizondo had every right to respond in this way because while she did not directly name him, and that'll play into her next tweet, it's pretty obvious if you know who testified, who said they would go into a skiff with her and other members of Congress, and who's very visible in the UFO field in this realm of quote unquote whistleblowers. So yeah, we were all pretty damn sure when she made that snarky remark that she was referring to people like Luis Elizondo. Now let's go ahead and show her response here. I can't zoom in, unfortunately, but her response was a strange and frankly bizarre post from someone I didn't even name. Lou Elizondo, you have my number, yet you went on X instead of contacting me directly. We have been coordinating with the same organization you were a part of, only to learn after that the UAPDF roundtable that you had left. Correct me if I'm wrong. Regardless, you could have still come to the skiff at any time. As I told you, we would work around your schedule. That's not true, first of all. At any time? No. Those things that's just patently false right there.
It doesn't work.
Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, that's not how it works. At any time. That's why we're in this situation, you idiot. Sorry. Okay, let me continue. Let this be a lesson for all UAP whistleblowers. We have an open skiff policy. If you have information to share, we will gladly host you. How Lou handled this wasn't just immature, it was odd, especially since I never even mentioned him by name. The fact is, he never returned despite our willingness to host him. And yes, I'll still extend the invitation now. If you have anything, come in and brief us. We will get the skiff. It is 100% on you. Okay. So what do you think of that response?
I think naive. I think it's naive of government officials to think that humans in the regular walk of life can just drop everything and buy a $1,500 plane ticket and go on command whenever someone snaps their fingers or opens a door. It's not realistic. I also don't understand why this is all happening in public. If they have each other's phone numbers, text each other, sort it out behind the scenes. Why is the rest of America watching this? Because it makes everybody look ridiculous. You can't solve these simple problems. Pick a day, make sure there's a flight. It's got to work in the real world. And so they're talking past each other, which to me pulls credibility from her side because she's the one that holds the bells and the whistles and strings. And so if she really wanted this to work, why is it a tweet on Twitter?
Yes. And okay, I can't believe I'm doing this, but I'm going to play devil's advocate for a second. During the last congressional hearing that Paulina was a huge part of, it was a dud. Let's be completely honest.
It was.
Very little substantial evidence was presented. Many things were skirted around. Many things were said that's classified. Many things were, I can say that in a skiff. Yes. And you could see her getting visibly frustrated with that. She's like, then why the hell are we here today?
And I think all of America was asking exactly that question that day. Yeah. I know you and I did afterwards.
Oh, yeah.
We live streamed that. But well, that was an hour of life we can't get back.
And, she would go on to, I believe she even responded after that and said something like, I felt like this was kind of a waste of time and it was just a way to sell books and stuff. Again, clearly referring to Lou Elizondo, who's the only one there who had or was about to publish a book. I think his book had already come out,
Right.
if I'm remembering. Yeah. So, I mean, she clearly, I don't know if she doesn't believe him, but she's suspicious of him. And now I think she wants nothing to do with Elizondo.
Now it's game on, right?
Now it's game on. So what I'm going to do next is play the next response from Lou Elizondo. And this came in the form of a News Nation interview. Mind you, something that could be seen all over the world, just like tweets can, and has further flamed this fiery exchange. So let me go ahead and play our last, I think this is our last clip. And then her response after that. I feel like we're Jerry Springer today. What is going on?
I know, but it would be interesting to have this set up though when something actually happens later, after when the smoke clears,
right?
To see which of these elements ended up being right.
Right, exactly. Okay, here's Lou Elizondo responding to all of this on News Nation.
Okay.
Are in the middle of this public back and forth with Congresswoman Paulina Luna. She has been a big supporter of UFO transparency, but now she claims that whistleblowers are dodging her request to have people like you testify in a classified room called a SCIF. It's a sensitive compartmented information facility. She didn't mention you specifically, but take a look.
I've reached out to some of the biggest names in UFO lore. They all got skiff flu, and we call it skiff flu, meaning like the day that the skiff was open, that we reserved it. We're like, we're here. Like, come on, come brief us. They get sick. They ghost us. Yeah, so I'm like, well, if you're not going to tell me to skiff, then you're full of crap.
Now, after you criticized her comments on Joe Rogan's show, her comments that she replied back, she said, you're a strange and frankly bizarre post. She didn't even mention you by name. Lou, what is going on here? Why do you think she's referring to you? What's happening here?
Sure. Well, first of all, let me applaud the work that she's doing for disclosure and for greater transparency. She's doing a tremendous work in that area, and I'm a big fan of her. I have been for a very long time. I've spoken to her many times, very frankly. But this was clearly, if you look at social media, this was a reference. She refers to SCUFFLE, referring to the individuals that were originally arranging a SCIF meeting for her. That was myself, Chris Mellon, and several others. Now, she did not mention me by name. And in all fairness, I really hope this is a miscommunication. But if she was referring to me, and by the way, in her tweet, she didn't say she wasn't. She never said I wasn't talking about you, Lou. So we still don't know. But if she was, I needed to make it clear, because if someone's going to go on an internationally syndicated podcast and make an inference that I, for whatever reason, had flu and was sick at the time of a SCIF, that's not accurate. It's not even remotely in the world of any type of reason. In fact, I've already talked in a SCIF already with the DOD and the DNI as well. And oh, by the way, under their IG programs. And also, I testified under oath before the American people, and I was in DC 3 separate times when our meetings in the SCIF were canceled and postponed. Now, keep in mind, I live in rural Wyoming in the middle of nowhere. My closest airport, 30 miles, and I have one plane that leaves from our airport every day, and it's a CRJ 200.
So you would testify, by the way, if she asked you again?
1,000%. And in fact, no one's ghosting her, at least not me. I would love an opportunity. I just need some notice. Got to give me more than 3 days.
I totally get it. And at the end of the day, I wanted to ask you, because you guys are on the same side. It's for transparency. So I hope it happens.
100%.
Lou Elizondo.
Luna's not an enemy. Correct. Look, she's doing great
I hear
work.
you. I hear you. Lou, thank you so much.
I'm a friend, not an enemy of what she's trying to do.
Got it. Thank you for clearing the air. Appreciate it, Lou. Good seeing you.
Absolutely. Honor and privilege.
Man, Lou was trying to get every last word in there. I respect that. I
do too. And
the guy was like, dude,
trying
we're
not to burn a bridge, right?
I
He's
know.
clearly trying to help herself with these whistleblowers. We'll see.
So, if I'm hearing this correctly, Lou traveled to Washington, D.C. 3 times, and the SCIF meetings were canceled
At the
3
last
times.
minute.
Am I hearing that correctly?
You heard? Absolutely right.
That sucks. Like, I understand that can happen. Like, that's just the reality of how these things go. But the fact that he is traveling, like he had mentioned, on his own dime to go there and do this, that goes for any whistleblower. That goes for the guys who went to, that testified before Congress. Unless they get like a sponsor or something to like sponsor their trips and stuff, they are doing that. And like Lou mentioned, like I got one plane that leaves where I live. Like I need more notice for stuff like this.
Exactly.
That's understandable. Like I can't fault him for that at all.
Well, and
What the problem?
Go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say what the problem is here is both of them are doing this in public when this easily could have just been a phone call, especially her next tweet, which we will get to, and the guy that's trying to mediate this whole thing, the adult in the room. As
finally, I think your tweet was perfect on that. An adult has entered the chat. Yeah,
yeah.
But to your point, you know, this is, if you're a Peanuts fan, this is very much like Lucy pulling the football every time she tries to get Charlie Brown to kick it. You know, but so she's pulled or not she. That's not fair. Someone has pulled the football 3 times for this guy. Yeah. And he has testified in front of Congress, and he has been in a skiff twice. So give him a break. Treat him like humans. Give him some time, some scheduling, and quit canceling and pulling the football.
Well, yeah. Well, and people are saying in the chat, too, there were several points where people were legitimately sick. And I know for a fact that Chris Mellon was very sick at one point. I think Grusch, too. Who did go into a skiff at some point, from what I'm remembering. Yeah. So, I mean, it's not like these guys are completely dodging them. They're doing what is asked of them, what was requested, and what they requested. Like, Lou wants to go into a skiff. Apparently. There's other people who think he's, like, trying to dodge all this because he's afraid he's going to get himself into some, you know, an area he can't dig himself out of. I don't know. But none of us will know until the SCIF meeting actually happens. And right now it's looking not too good, especially with what's going on in public between these two. But should we read her most recent tweet that dropped?
Yes, I'd say go for it.
Okay. Wow, I feel like TMZ over here. In response to Luis Elizondo, Ana Paulina Luna said, I just talked to Comer regarding issuing subpoenas for certain individuals that developed skiff flu or had other things come up when we asked them to come in to divulge information to Congress. What I love about this job is flushing out the truth tellers from those that are trying to sell books and potentially being disingenuous in an effort to undermine our investigations. See you in the skiff.
There you go.
Oh, God.
I know. I don't know. It's like they cannot stop themselves. And, you know, I don't know how many clients I have said this to, and I would say it to her and I would say it to him. It might feel really good emotionally to take these kinds of swipes. In that moment, it's very satisfying emotionally to dish some garbage back to someone that you think is dishing garbage to you. It is almost always an error. It's almost that short-term satisfaction and gratification that comes from doing this can have long-term negative impacts. And I bet it is. I bet it is. I bet the potential whistleblowers are like, oh, you're going to subpoena me? Let's talk about what's classified and what's not. And you're going to hear a whole bunch of, I don't know, or I can't say, or, you know, blah, blah. Because it doesn't matter that there is a skiff. Everybody in the skiff has to have the right classification. And if they don't, no talky talk.
Waste of time. Yeah.
Again.
Very good point. I love this jail and Heineken. It's like the start of a rom-com where both people start out hating each other. This is all
they'll
to
be
bring
married
them
this
together.
time next
Yeah.
year. We don't know.
No, they seem to both be happily married. I met Lou's
I
wife.
think
She
they
is a
are.
sweetheart. She's such a nice person.
Good.
Pretty
Good.
sure she bought me a mimosa at one point. Yeah. When they were here in Scotland. I got to meet his whole family, his daughter, his wife, his daughter's boyfriend. They were so nice.
Good.
I sent him to a really nice bar here in Scotland that they had a good time at and got to hang out with him. But yeah, we're living in interesting times, Suzanne, where the former head of a Pentagon UFO program and a congressional member are arguing over Twitter.
On Twitter.
I just can't believe it. But you know what? You know who came in and tried to save the day? Eric Burleson, who is also on the, I believe, the Federal Secrets Task Force,
Yes, that's right.
and working heavily in the UAP sector right now. And he said the following after all of this happened on Twitter. You are both patriots who are passionate about serving our country. I take the blame for this because the problem we are facing is that we were trying to align the stars and have everyone be in the skiff briefing at the same time. Like you had mentioned, Suzanne, that's almost impossible.
Almost impossible.
Which is clearly more difficult than I thought, especially considering that it is on their whistleblowers' dime, and many of them legitimately have service-related health issues to varying degrees. Lou Elizondo, that being said, if you wish to come in and do the briefing in the skiff, we can work around your schedule. I am happy to talk offline. Offline. Is the key word here.
Not on Twitter.
How I'm happy to talk offline about how we can make it work and further how we can make the experience for whistleblowers not as much of a sacrifice as it has been.
Right. You know that scene in The Grinch Who Stole Christmas where the Grinch has come in and Cindy Lou, who has woken up, and he pats her on the head to calm her down and send her to bed. That's how I see this. Like he's patting both of them on the head. Everybody take a breath, go back to bed. We're going to take this offline now.
Yeah, that's a good comparison. You know, and even the reporter at News Nation said it. Lou has said it. Like, they should be on the same team, you know, when it comes to all of this. And this is showing the world that they are not. And what this is going to show people who may have been interested in all of this is that this is imploding. These people can't get along. They're arguing on Twitter. They can't seem to get one meeting to happen. But like Eric Berlinson said, that's like almost, it's like astronomical to get these people all in the same room together. So my question for you, Suzanne, to get them all in the same room together, would it take something like a subpoena to force them basically to come in? No, you know, you have to do this. We will make this happen. And that's what she said. I'm going to try to get subpoenas, and we're going to make you guys come in here, and we're going to root out the wheat from the chaff, and we're going to find out who's actually telling the truth when it comes to these. Who are the real whistleblowers? Who are the ones who are LARPing? And what do we do with the information we are told in the skiff? Where do we go? How do we find these craft? And what comes next for this topic if we are to expose any quote-unquote federal secrets? So that was our poll this week. I will go to the results in just a little bit here. But guys, let us know in the chat. Should these people be subpoenaed? Should they be subpoenaed to come in and testify before Congress? We talked about Michael Herrera saying, nah, they have no protections. Don't do it, guys. Don't do it. It sounds like Lou is almost feeling that way now too. Exactly. And I'd like to know from you, like you know the word subpoena well. I had to ask you how to spell it earlier. So what do you make of these latest things with her saying, like, I'm gonna make you come in this skiff, whether you like it or not?
Well, really easy to say, right? Really easy to say. The problem with doing that there are a couple problems. One of them is you can issue subpoenas all day long, but if they aren't based in reasonable times and reasonable expectations, with things provided for, you're going to get pushback, and you're going to get pushback from entities who can do what's called quashing the subpoena, to make it just stop, make it just go away, or to reschedule it at a time that is reasonable and under appropriate circumstances. But you mentioned Mr. Herrera, and my initial reaction to all of this when it first happened was, I would love to hear what he's thinking right now, because this is part of the problem. When she says, I'm going to force you here, where's the safety for that in them? And, you know, you can creating what are called hostile witnesses on the front end by choosing overly aggressive means of interacting with witnesses. How does that help anybody? All that does is it causes people to lawyer up and clam up. And so, sure, can they do that? They can. Is it going to be successful? It's not going to be completely successful because there is no way they can just start issuing subpoenas, and the time and places of those subpoenas are reasonable especially once you start going across state lines. Start going across state lines, you have jurisdictional issues, and so they're going to fight subpoenas in crazy places. So I think we probably won't see that, and I suspect if she didn't know that, she knows that now. I suspect we're going to see this all simmer down, and then maybe we'll hear something in the September hearing if it's actually going to happen.
Yeah, and we'll get to that. We got a specific date we believe this is going to be happening from our good friend Steve Diener over at the UAP Unidentified Alien podcast. But Ryan Cooper with a $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much, Ryan.
Thank you.
Suzanne, he asks, if you get a subpoena, are your travel expenses reimbursed?
That's a really good question. And sometimes the answer is yes, and sometimes the answer is no. And unfortunately, I can't give you a concrete answer right now because it's going to matter who the witness is, what their capacity is, and where they are. So in other words, what rules will be applying to that particular witness when they get a congressional subpoena? So the answer is maybe. If these groups are smart, they'll arrange for those reimbursement expenses on the front end voluntarily without forcing judges or hearing panels, whatever it may be, to make these decisions for them. But that would be different for every witness. And you can think of it, let's think of it in simple terms. So if you subpoena a doctor or a lawyer who have busy trial schedules and busy operating schedules, whatever, there are special rules that will prevent you from being able to just snap your fingers and make me appear according to a subpoena. So depending on who they are, what their classification is, all that sort of thing, there's going to be different answers.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah. Well, let me ask you this. I mean, is this not like the whole reason the UAP Disclosure Fund exists? Like, is that somewhere that could raise the funds to send these whistleblowers to a SCIF if they had to?
Absolutely. Or at least help, or at least make arrangements. And, are there there are also options like, does that whistleblower technically have to go to DC, or is there a SCIF available in the area where they are and the congressperson can go to them? I don't know the answers to those because that too would change witness to witness, but they need to quit thinking so narrowly and authoritarian about it. Do they have the power? Sure. Should they use the power? Always the harder question.
Yep, exactly. And the big issue I had with what Paulina was saying when I called her an idiot, not classy of me. I shouldn't have done that. But she said, like, the SCIF's open whenever you want, man. I'm like, no, it's not. That's the whole reason we're having this conversation.
Right.
Like, you clearly had to reschedule these things and you canceled them. So, like,
and if you think we're not listening in these congressional hearings when they talk about a SCIF and when we can get in a SCIF and when a SCIF is available, pick your line of chatter. They can't both be true.
Exactly.
Very frustrating.
Oh man. Okay. So, what else did I have with this? I think that's it for this story, unless I'm missing something. We'll see what tweets have come out while we were recording this. Or
it's been an exhausting 48 hours.
It has been. But we do want to end with an update on the upcoming Congressional UFO hearing. Now, like I had mentioned, Steve Diener over at the UAP podcast, the Unidentified Alien podcast. If you're not subscribed, go subscribe to that, guys. Awesome show. Love Steven. Does some good work. Oh, the poll, Gareth. Darn it. Let's get to that. Yeah, and then we'll get finally to our final little story of the night. Let me refresh the YouTube poll here for you guys. And I asked you guys over on Twitter here. Over on YouTube. I did ask this on Twitter, actually, but I asked it on YouTube tonight. I want to get our YouTubers' thoughts. Should UFO whistleblowers be subpoenaed to testify before Congress? Our choices were yes, they should. No, they shouldn't. Not if they don't want to testify, and it won't matter anyway. So, out of 93 votes, should whistleblowers be subpoenaed to testify before Congress? 48% of you said yes. 10% of you said no, 20% said not if they don't want to testify, and 22% said it won't matter anyway. So there you go. What do you make of those results?
That doesn't surprise me at all. Doesn't surprise me at all. And I think that the committee needs to seriously think about whether trying to force these guys into the skiffs is helpful. Already, and putting it in context of where Mr. Herrera was this time last week, telling people, if you're a whistleblower, don't testify because you're not safe. And there are questions of legal security in the process. So I think a more mindful and thoughtful and understanding means of doing it is what you're seeing in those numbers. Can you just subpoena them? Sure. Might you get something? Maybe. But if they're uncomfortable or hostile, you're going to get the minimum. There's a better way to do it.
There is. Yeah, it's kind of like I'm a big Law and Order fan. You watch those interrogations, it's rarely the bad cop that gets the confession.
That's right. Same with lawyers. Same with lawyers.
Yep. You want to friend this person, befriend them. So it's manipulative, but that's the way the world works, man. That's the way you get an answer out of someone who is either, just below the surface, ready to finally confess something, or if you got to dig it out of them. But it's never the one beating it out of them.
Right. And it doesn't have to even be manipulative. Just being in polite, respectful conversation with someone who has information to share, or that information that needs to be shared, even if they don't want to share it. Coming at it respectfully and politely and as kindly as you can in a professional setting is almost always better.
Yep. I mean, Congress wants the answers to this. The witnesses want to give those answers. It's as simple as that.
Not hard. It's a scheduling matter, people. It's a scheduling matter.
I say it's as simple as that. It's clearly not. That's why we're having this conversation.
Obviously. And obviously there's some legal bells and whistles for security.
Yep. No one ever said disclosure would be easy or clean or simple, right?
No, but we are listening to Congress talk about interdimensional beings. So let's not lose sight of the progress.
Exactly. Okay, Suzanne, I was going to play a video, but I'm not going to do that. We're already past the 2-hour mark here. But Stephen Diener, like I mentioned, was the first to say this news. Now, it has not been completely verified or confirmed to my knowledge yet, but the rumor is through various people that I've spoken to and have sort of confirmed this as well in Washington, that the next Congressional UFO hearing will take place on September 9th.
Right.
Is that right? Yep. Okay. Cool, man. Right. I can't screw that up. That's literally the last story of the day. September 9th. And not only that, we are supposed to be getting at least 1 or 2 first-hand witnesses who have either worked on these retrieval programs or have worked on the materials recovered from these retrieval programs. So
and I think this will be the first time we have that opportunity to actually hear from people whose boots were on the ground in place at the time. So I'm really looking forward to that. And I hope it happens. I hope all this garbage that we've talked about today doesn't get in the way of whoever these people are. And I can see that it might. So we have to cross our fingers.
Yep, exactly. And now I'm hearing, this is interesting. I'm hearing that those Wall Street Journal articles were written specifically to downplay and or pressure this next congressional hearing not to happen.
Really? Doesn't surprise me in the least. That thing smelled of disinformation. Those articles, instantly, that was my reaction to them is, we're in another disinformation campaign right now.
Yeah.
Well, that
was
interesting. Perfect sense.
Yeah.
Yep.
Interesting times in ufology, but we would have it no other way. Wow.
That's right.
Wow. What a show. What a show. We covered
Everybody get on
that.
Twitter. Let's see what's happening afterwards.
I know.
Been here.
You guys have the luxury of like either watching this on Twitter right now or like being able to go over there. We haven't looked on social media to see if anything's happened since then. Is the world still here? Oh, someone asked how the mountain, the hill is doing outside my apartment here in Scotland.
Yes.
Last week it was on fire.
That was a big fire. That wasn't like
big.
a small problem. That was a big fire. It was
It
scary.
was so sad, Suzanne. I went to Holyrood Park, which is where this all happened. I went there yesterday. I walk there every day. It's my daily walk. But I made sure to go over to the area.
Mess.
It looks like a war zone.
Sure.
I hate to say it.
Just for the listeners who haven't seen it, it is a beautiful little lake with wildlife everywhere. Green, 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 gorgeous, and just went up in flames.
Yeah. Still, I don't know if there's been a conclusion on what happened, if it was intentional or was literally like a wildfire started from. We have had a extreme heat wave here in Scotland. But there's a possibility that it was simply caused by like a cigarette or something happened. I'll keep an eye on that, but everyone's fine. Everyone's safe from what I've heard. No one was injured or perished from this thing. So that's good. But yeah, it'll be sad to keep going back there and seeing it. But you know what? We shall prevail. Exactly. Scotland is a resilient place. And trust me, there's been much worse wildfires going on in the world right now. So we feel very lucky that we made it out pretty much unscathed. But poor Mother Nature, poor the earth.
I know. And then once this happens, the mudslides and the things that come along with it for years.
It does have an impact. Yeah,
problem for a long time.
It will, but thank you to everyone who reached out throughout the week and was checking up on me. I truly do appreciate that. We're here, and we are spilling the latest UFO tea. But Suzanne, I'll let you go back in the chat before I close things up here.
Have a great night.
Thank you, as always, for all of your insights. We truly do appreciate it.
Oh, happy to be here.
Awesome. Oh, if anyone wants to find you, is there anywhere they can reach out to you?
Sure. Suzanne Westerman Landers on Facebook via Messenger. That's the easiest and the simplest. I'm on Twitter as well. Bunch of political ranting, though. You may not want that. So Facebook's better.
Facebook's always better. I would have to agree with that. Yeah.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Suzanne.
Have a great night.
All right. Amazing. It's so funny. So like we always mention, Suzanne and I, like we both come with stories throughout the week, and then we put together like what we're going to talk about, and we almost matched up like entirely this week. It was awesome. So we were clearly on the same wavelength, and of course we had to end with the skiff scuffle. Someone come up with a dance. Someone come up with a skiff scuffle. Skiff scuffle. I want to see it. I don't care. Make a YouTube video of you dancing to the skiff scuffle. Make an AI video. I don't give a crap at this point. Just show me what the skiff scuffle means to you. I would like to know. Jamie, we did the poll. I see you yelling poll in there. Thank you so much, James Craig, for the super chat, buddy. We truly do appreciate that. I think we hit our goal. Let me double check here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Guys, thank you. That is so awesome. You are helping to support Anomicon, our free virtual conference that once again will be taking place on September 20th. We have a ton of speakers talking about all things anomalous for you. So be sure to check that out on September 20th. You can learn more about our speakers and the event at anomicon.com. But for tonight, I do want to let you guys know that we have a brand new episode of the podcast releasing, and that is 5 obscure UFO incidents, a podcaster panel discussion. So I will be joined by Jason McClellan of the UFO WTF. UFO UAP WTF podcast. There we go. Chris Cogswell, formerly of the Mad Scientist podcast, Rob Christofferson, formerly of the Our Strange Skies podcast, and Brent Hand from Hysteria 51. And we all brought a case to the table that was obscure, not really well known in the world of ufology, and we break it down and we decide together, is it worth bringing it to the public or should it remain in obscurity? It was our super fun conversation. I think you guys are going to love it. You can find that in just a couple hours on the Somewhere in the Skies podcast, or if you would like, you can join our Patreon campaign, and it's already available to you over there via early access. You can find out more about our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/somewhereskies. Other than that, if you can, guys, please take just a few moments, I don't know what that was, a few moments to rate and review the Somewhere in the Skies podcast on Apple and Spotify, the two largest platforms out there. It would mean the absolute world to me. You can rate us on Spotify. You can rate and review us on Apple. Leave us a fun Apple review. I'm going to do this. One of my favorite wrestling podcasts does this. For the review, just type this word. You ready? Type these two words. Skiff Scuffle. Go over to Apple right now, rate, review, leave us a comment as you review and say Skiff Scuffle. I think that's it, guys. This was a hell of a show. I'm going to get out of here. It is time for a late dinner, and I got to get the podcast ready for Spectre Vision. We will be officially premiering on Spectre Vision in just under 2 weeks, so be on the lookout for that. Again, nothing will change. You will find the show where you always have. The only thing that changes is our new family, and that is Spectre Vision Radio. So thank you. Thank you to all of our super chatters tonight. Thank you to all of our regulars, all of our new people. Truly do appreciate you just hopping in, giving us a chance, and breaking down all the latest UFO and space-related news with us. We'll be here next week to bring you more. Yeah, that's going to do it, guys. So from Suzanne and I, we just want to wish you guys a great rest of your weekend. And yeah, I'm sure we will have more to report next week because, as we know, things move quick in the UFO world, and they seem to be moving quicker now more than ever. So, oh boy, what will happen? We shall see. I love you guys. Thank you so much for joining us. And as always, keep your feet on the ground, but never stop searching somewhere in the skies. Have a great night, and I'll see you next week.
There's nothing to hide. There's nothing to hide at all.